Hello, Miami. This is 305 Sports Now, your home podcast and channel for all things Miami sports related. I am Will, and I'm sorry it took me a little bit of a while to set up here as I was trying to get things, straightened out here over in my, I guess you could say, YouTube office, per se here at home. I wasn't going to do this, but I was asked by a good friend of mine to come online, go live, because it has been a very good game as far as what it comes between the Miami Hurricanes and also the Louisville Cardinals. I will say this though, Louisville's head coach is a heck of a play caller on offense. Mr. Braum over there is a very good play caller as well. So Stefan Braum is a very good play caller, and it is a good game. All right, special teams mishaps on behalf of Louisville have kept Miami Hurricanes up. In this game, I will say this though, I think sometimes officials need to use some common sense. Not much was done and wasn't malicious the way Ruben Bain went in for that sack, against their quarterback, Jack Plummer. That should not have been a 15-yard penalty. It changed the trajectory of the game, as it's one of the main reasons why it's a 1-point game and not a 4-point game or a 7-point lead going into halftime. I think officials, I understand penalties are penalties and calls are calls, and you want to protect quarterbacks and players. But the bottom line is you have to use a bit more common sense, when making these calls, because you should not be the outcome of a game, right? Officials should not control outcomes of games, and that's been a major problem overall this season, not just in college football, but also in the NFL. It just seems to be more frequent in the NCAA circuit. But just a little bit about the game itself. I want to talk about the Canes. Van Dyke has looked a bit more comfortable today than he's looked in other games, especially throughout this whole slump. Okay, he's 11 of 17, 141. A touchdown in the game. The running game has been neutralized by Louisville. Louisville does have a pretty solid defense. They do have playmakers, especially at the linebacker position, but they've ran well when they've needed to run well. Okay, you had a 21-yard touchdown run by Mark Fletcher, and then you had that gorgeous reverse by Brashard Smith. I'm glad to see him get the football. 34-yard touchdown run in which Francisco Mauigoa just mauled, right, the defensive back in that game to get into the end zone. It was just a pretty thing to see, and why he was listed as the number one offensive tackle in the country. That is a definition of a pancake, guys. I mean, that was a full-blown pancake. So like I said, I like what I've seen, in spurts, from Restrepo. I like what I've seen. I like the catch by Jacoby George, as well. I like the fact the ball has gotten out of Van Dyke's hand a bit quicker. I think he's much better suited when it's a quick pass situation than it is, when he has to hold the ball and wait for routes to develop. He's not very comfortable doing that. I will say that. Line for itself has held its own, but to credit English, the defensive coordinator over at Louisville, he has drawn up some schemes to get at least some pressure and withstand, Miami's basically the best offensive line in the ACC, in my opinion. Now, how I see the game, I'm going to break down what I think of both Shannon Dawson and also Lance Guidry. It's basically a matchup of two very good schemers, one on the defensive side of the ball and one on the offensive side of the ball. Okay, Braum, the head coach over at Louisville, who has his team at 9-1, is a very good play caller, right? He's a very good play caller, and one thing he has done against Guidry was that he has used the aggression and even the discipline that Guidry's defense has against him. By the way, feel free to leave comments, okay? I'll be glad to respond to anything any of you have to say. Is that he's, what I mean by that is, like, for example, he's been getting the ball out of Plummer's hands very quickly. And Miami has, had, situations where, again, you have a guy who plays coverage, but he passes along, the offensive player over to the next defender. What Plummer has done, and basically from the play calling of Braum in the game, is that he passes along the defender, but the defender isn't there quick enough to make the tackle or break up the pass to go for the interception. So that is why on short play situations, Louisville's been able to get the first down. Okay. So this is from Danny, a good buddy of mine. Yeah, we'll show that comment. Yeah, TVD is looking good finally. It's good to see him. Right? Thank you, Mr. Vasquez Duo Adventures. Really appreciate that. So that's pretty much what I mean. So what I think that they should do in the second half is keep doing what you're doing. All right. You don't need to send 6 guys on blitzes. You're pretty solid just with a 5-man rush. They're going to get the ball out quickly. Make sure everybody is covered and is in the right position, because Plummer will make a mistake. All right. Plummer is also a turnover machine. We thought TVD's been bad. Jake Plummer is also a turnover machine as well. And if we're able to get the sack, we can actually get a strip fumble situation. Miami has been applying pressure, just the ball has gotten out of Plummer's hands very effectively. He's also a bit more mobile than people give him credit for. He's not Jordan Travis, but he can survive on his legs. It's one thing that he's been able to do, throughout this game to avoid getting sacked. All right. But I do like the way the defense has been playing. Okay. I don't think we need to blitz as much. That's where actually they've gotten us on a couple situations. A lot of the big runs that Louisville has been able to get is because Miami's been overly aggressive, which has left gaps, open, and their talented running backs are able to get, big gains or even get into the end zone as well. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a little bit more gap discipline, because that's going to happen. I do think Gidry will make adjustments in that. And I will like to see in any case or any scenario, or any scenario and so on, I would like to see maybe the defenders, before they pass along, the running back or the tight end to the next upcoming defender, they kind of stay in his way a little bit more, kind of chip him a bit more and so on. Or, you got 5 yards, so use that to your advantage, then take off and allow the defender to be able to make a quick tackle. So it's not a 10, 12-yard gain. If anything, it is a pass breakup, or it's a 3-yard gain minimum or 2-yard gain, etc. Okay, so Danny, I will be honest with you. I'm not a superstitious guy, but every time I predict the scores on this channel, it's come back to bite me. So I will not do that. I think it's going to be a very good game. In the second half, I do believe it'll come down to a final possession. Let's just say that. And I do think Miami will play better defense, in the game as well in the second half. I think Miami's defense will step up. I do think Louisville will make adjustments, and I do think Miami needs to do the same. Shannon Dawson's side of the ball, okay, much improved. They're taking more shots as well. They've gotten the ball out of TVD's hands, but once again, I like the creativity of the flea flicker and the reverse to Rashard Smith. I do want to see us use the same way that Louisville's using its tight ends and its running backs in play action form, where they could leak out, do some damage that way, and use the tight ends as well, more on screens, etc. It's kind of like what I want to see, as far as the game goes. So that's basically it. All right. I do think it's gonna be a heck of a second half. Miami does receive. It's gonna be a good game. Okay. Well, the game has started, so I will get everybody back out there, guys. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to 305 Sports Now. Once again, I am Will. Stay safe. God bless. See you soon. Go Canes, guys. Let's finish this game. All right. Bye bye.